Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked states to come up with separate plans on the lockdown. Sources indicate that green, red and orange zones will have different strategies, but lockdown in red zones, which are hotspots, will continue. However, no consensus on the lockdown extension was reached in the 3-hour-long video conference between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the chief ministers. But at least 4 states have demanded lockdown extensions. Chief ministers of smaller states were given the chance to speak first in the meet. Meghalaya, HP and Uttarakhand were among the first to address the conference. Meghalaya CM Conrad Sangma said that lockdown should be extended beyond the 3rd of May in COVID-19 hotspots. Even Odisha pushed for a lockdown extension. Now, this came as the Prime Minister asserted that the nationwide lockdown has helped to contain the spread of coronavirus. The issue of Indians stranded abroad was also raised in the meet. CMs also discussed the issue of stranded migrant labourers. States also put forward their demands, with Bihar asking for more PPE kits. Sources have confirmed to WION that flight and train services are likely to remain suspended beyond the 3rd of May. The centre is expected to issue fresh guidelines before the 3rd of May. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court disposed of a plea challenging the centre's crackdown of mass migration of workers. However, it asked the centre to look into the grievances of migrants who want to return home amid the lockdown. The centre had told the court that mass migration would increase the risk of COVID-19 spread in rural areas. The centre said that it has been working with state governments as well as NGOs to make necessary arrangements for migrant workers across shelters in the country. This comes as the total number of coronavirus cases in India rises to 28,380 and the overall death toll is at 886. Our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sybil, is joining us for more on this. Good evening to you, Siddhant. After a 3-hour-long video conference meeting between Prime Minister Modi and the CMs, what is the latest update you have for us?
Well, Alison, this is the 4th meeting of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the chief ministers of all the Indian states and the 3rd meeting this month, in fact. And the main focus was on the COVID measures, the review of the measures taken by the Indian government, especially when it comes to lockdown. We know that lockdown 2.0 comes to an end on 3rd of next month. And what next is the big focus. It doesn't look like that there will be any relaxation. And we know that states have been saying that they would like to extend it given the fact that the situation remains fragile. In fact, data has just come out for today and the number of cases are now touching at around 30,000 with approximately many deaths being reported. We also know the highest number of deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours at 60. But by and large, the meeting was something in which both the centre and the states were on the same page when it comes to regarding the national lockdown measure and also dividing the country into 3 zones, primarily green, red and the yellow zone. We know that the Indian government has said and indicated that when it comes to green zones, all activities are allowed. But when it comes to red zones, the hot zones, the containment zones, strict compliance is something that will be the main focus. But by and large, there are also reports now that the Indian government plans to bring its citizens from abroad. One thing can be confirmed, that the Indian missions abroad have done their homework, have done the groundwork, and as soon as they get a green signal from Delhi, they will be ready to bring back the Indian citizens. But it might take a long time given the fact that it doesn't seem so that the lockdown will be removed very soon or perhaps on 3rd of May, because considerable restrictions will be there. In fact, the Indian Prime Minister has warned that the threat of coronavirus will remain for a pretty long time. In fact, other big development of the day is when it comes to Chinese RT-PCR kits, the kits for testing of COVID. Now, the ICMR has said that when it comes to the 2 companies from which India procured these kits, it has advised to the states that not to use the kits of these two companies, which is a major decision because we know that globally Chinese kits are failing and now the cases have been reported here in India. In fact, the Indian government has also said that it's not going to pay for all the kits it has got from Chinese companies which have failed.
Right. Thank you very much for that report, Siddhant. That's our political diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant.